This is Neil King for Random Acts of Cartooning, and I just visited Italy, Rome, and Florence. I brought my sketchbook, but first. So this episode's influence is Alex Ross's Wonder Woman. This is a bigger format book than most, oversized. Did a series of these, Superman, Batman, Justice League, there may have been others. So I have 2 or 3 of them, and you can just see spectacular gouache, watercolor, a little bit of airbrush. Spectacular realist, so much work that he does. So the reason I'm picking this one compared to a lot of different things is just because, getting back from Italy, Rome, and Florence, lots of Greco-Roman classic sculptures and everything. I feel like he used a lot of reference for this book from that period, those periods, especially the Greek stuff, I suppose. But I just wanted to focus on seeing some of these things, the sculpturesque type of stuff, but all this type of background information that he probably garnered from films and photos from those areas. But so I'm trying to focus in on that. He uses a lot of photography to get some of his work done, but then you can see how he's just able to also be able to just draw those in-betweens, where this is just a true comic book creator. Like he could be a penciler on any kind of a thing. He doesn't have to be this kind of technician, but he is. So he's using all kinds of stuff, and you can see parts where he's always looking for those money shots where it's a beautiful image, but bringing you in for the informational stuff that you need to bring you through the story. All of that background art, all of that, the equestrian statue, all the stuff you would see European. But then he's kind of bringing us back and forth throughout some of the things that you're used to seeing in comic books, right? Beautiful reference works. Just makes it look easy. And he's not somebody that takes forever to do these things. He's incredibly productive. Got a beautiful image, and it moves you right through that landscape, that cityscape, the Colosseum type of thing in the back. That all types of mixture of architecture for the Amazons, and then brings you outside. All kinds of little things that I like to look at, like these types of sculpture, that type of perspective. He's a master, right? All these kind of references that he's using. I just think it's just unbelievable work on such a level that I've seen other types of people who do photorealistic stuff, but I think he transcends a lot of that stuff just because he's able to combine the action and move the narrative across. There's no kind of very stagnant feeling, even though when you have things that are that realistic looking, it could feel that way if he wasn't doing all the other stuff to bring us through, like all great comics would do. All the typical things you're used to seeing. But it's a really spectacular book, and I love looking at it. I take these things out all the time, especially getting back from Rome, where you see all this type of architecture around. That's, I'm sure, Greece and Rome and all the things that influenced him. But it's a beautiful book. You should get any of them. I'm sure there's plenty out there. Spirit of Truth, Alex Ross, great influence. I've visited Italy before, and being an AP art history teacher for over 20 years, I was really looking forward to going to places like this Palazzo Rucellai, and then just seeing how it works with the architecture. And it is crazy how you just walk down a street and everyone's some type of ancient image like this is there. Really amazing to see. and the entombment. This is another great AP art history piece. The mannerism style. And when you approach these kind of things, you want to try to find your time. A lot of the crowds can be really overwhelming. But on other times, like in this case, you just go to this very small church, and a lot of people didn't even recognize what some of these pieces are in the history of art. So we were lucky to be able to get in and see what's going on in some of these places, and I was able to get a whole lot of sketching done as we were going through. But you can see how bright some of these areas are. One of the things that I really couldn't wait to get to see what's the Pazzi Chapel. And again, we were able to go into the church and then come over and take a look at a closer view in this little courtyard that's out there. And when you're doing this kind of work, you have to really, sometimes what I'll do is I'll come out there and I'll get the majority of the work done. Depends on if I'm with a group of people. But in this case, I was, there's a lot of architectural pieces there, and, you can see when you get close to it, you're trying to find your proportions, and there's a lot of people around. But for me, I was just trying to see how everything connected. And, these types of early Renaissance pieces, very important. And we're able to go and see the David, which I have seen before. But just to be able to see, an image like this, high Renaissance work, AP art history, and then just see how people react. And for me as an artist, to try to bring my own point to it. I mean, I don't want to just sit there and just draw the figure. I wanted to focus in on an aspect of it, and something that I could just, create quickly with my Bic pen, with my sketchbook. So I focused a little bit more with this piece on the hand. And I tried to, focus a little bit on how it works. And again, these types of pieces, version with these angels, and then being able to go and see the birth of Venus, a Botticelli piece, up close, spectacular, oversized. I didn't realize how big that image was until you get to see it up close. And remember, I do lots of sketches. It starts to be conventions season right around now. So I'm filling up my book as much as I can to go to some local conventions in the area. These are all the different types of things that I've drawn mostly at conventions because I don't have a lot of time to do this. But with the videos that I do, sometimes I'll throw some of them in. Some of them have been around for a little while. Others are brand new. But I do all these things, and if you're interested in any of them that you may see, contact me. But I've done lots of commission work recently outside of conventions, and people see them. So I would like to hopefully see you at a convention, or that you might be interested in any of these. Or I can do one for you, specifically. We're continuing here, and this is the Palazzo Vecchio, where they have a whole bunch of outdoor figures to draw. And I really loved, this is the whole Florence part thus far that we've been looking at. And just to be able to go out there, somebody like myself who's a cartoonist who loves to draw figures, to be able to see these kind of figures up close, and then just to pick a few and try to, get that kind of movement that they have in with all of these figures. Again, when there's a lot of people around, the good thing about having a small sketchbook is that you can just pull that thing out and then you don't have to have a lot around with you. and I could have done this in a bunch of different ways. But but I do really enjoy trying to see what I can do with something like that. Not do the entire part, but focus on one aspect of that fountain group that they have there. And a lot of these figures, it's strange. I've been to Florence twice before this, uh, so kind of revisiting these things that are, it's an ancient stuff, hundreds of years old. That these a lot of these things have been there, and I'm sure the Palazzo has evolved over the years. But it reminds me pretty much exactly the same, and it's been a solid over 20 years that I had. That's the last time I was there. Um, but people do come from all over the world to see some of these things. And this is another piece that I really enjoy drawing, the equestrian monument, the Cosimo the First. Whenever you see these equestrian images, I mean, one of the hard things to draw, I think, are horses and trying to keep them in proportion to whomever is on there. So for me, at least for this sketch, I wanted to get a little bit closer in so that I can get that attitude that he has in in the sculpture on that bronze, and it's an amazing thing. Again, it's it's actual size. He's probably bigger, I'm sure, uh, than actual size, but as a power piece, these equestrian statues are very big, and in AP Art History, we would often talk about some of the equestrian images and some of the rulers that would have themselves, like a Napoleon or somebody that would show themselves on a horse. And it comes back to, some of the earlier ones from the Roman equestrian pieces. And but it's really fun to draw and to try to get that angle as well as I could with this specific piece. So, fun piece to do. And these are just kind of the finishes of what I was working on there. There you go, Cosimo. So the next part, they have multiple pieces in this area, and I could have picked like any of them. But one of my favorite pieces is the abduction of the Sabine women. And it's, again, I believe it's a mannerism piece, and I used to cover this before the AP changed the way that they were doing some of the pieces. They gave us the works to do, and this was one of the ones that that I always showed my students. So again, these are just reproductions, but it's great to be able to draw something like this outside, and yeah, that was the finish for that one. And this was the first time I'd ever been to Pisa, even though I've been to Italy before. And to see all of these things, we went with our family, and I was able to get out there and just do a quick sketch of Pisa. And again, for the AP art, Pisa used to be one of the ones I would teach the kids, and I would have them in, but the newer format, they wouldn't have them there. But I was still very eager to get out and see this incredible monument. And they've gotten it all figured out now. Apparently, people can go in it, and um, you're always worried about how people are going to deal with something that's this old, and it was kind of fragile, the way that it was made. Um, but to go into this site, like the whole city, everybody who's coming over in the trains, they're going right to Pisa. So with this, again, it's all about proportion. So once I decided the top parts, then I just kind of went with it, and you could just see people all around. They're doing that typical picture of themselves holding the Pisa monument up the campanile. But then So what I thought, I was just put it into as if I was holding it in my hand. So I did a quick cartoonist move there, and I just tried to add something to it that's my own. Um, People are drawn to these kind of things, and when you see something that is recognized by so many people in the world, it's great to see it. But this was the finish of that specific one. That was fun to do. This was another quick little, they have an outdoor sculpture on the grounds, and that's what it looked like. So really, my major thing, I wanted to go see the Donatello piece that most Donatello's piece that his David, other than the Michelangelo one that I saw, and to come into this very quiet area where it is, it's just really, an astonishing piece. So to see it up close and to see all the detail that pictures really don't show you when you're studying these kind of things, it's tough to see. But I kind of focused on the head with this specific one. A lot of fun to be able to do that. This is the Pantheon with the coffering and all the things on the outside, and this huge, space that that you can't believe all this marble and thousands and thousands of people are going through every day. But it was great to be able to walk in there and to look at each of the areas that people are drawn to. So I just went outside and I did a quick drawing of the exterior of the pediment. And I tried to, once you get involved in that kind of a drawing, you realize how much detail is going on. And I just, again, was trying to keep the proportions that I saw and try to keep it close with those Corinthian columns and all the things that we talk about. That dome is in exterior, but it's another beautiful area around it. But you see how the city has just kind of grown around this like classic place, Roman architecture like this. So that was the finish for that one. And this is a Calling of St. Matthew, which again is one of my favorite pieces, the Caravaggio piece, and an art history piece that I've shown kids for many years. And then we went to El Gesù, Triumph of Christ. It's like going to a theater, and you just, it's spectacular to see this kind of work where it's a multimedia. To the plaster work that they're painting on top of it just looks like they're coming down into the structure with the people waiting. And great use of light again. I like this piece a lot also, and I could focus on it a little bit more, so I thought I'd do a quick sketch of it. This crucifixion, see, and this is not in the AP art history thing, but it is in that church. Church of Gesù. Again, lots of exterior architecture, and you just kind of are transported into a different world, especially when you're seeing these oversized statues everywhere. So I thought I'd do at least a little bit of that one. And then we were lucky enough to go to Pompeii, which again was the first time I've ever been there, to walk through those streets. And it's just, you just feel this history and, walking on those cobblestones, and we had a really great tour. And you got into the Ixion room with a variety of Roman styles of painting. And then from there we went to see Mount Vesuvius. We actually walked up to Mount Vesuvius, and so many people had joined us. But to be able to go up that high and realize what had happened with the volcanic eruption, and just to realize, what it was like. It was almost like a nuclear bomb what had gone off and just took everything with it. But how deep that is. So I did a little bit of an image of the people I'm with, my family. So this was probably the biggest piece I wanted to see. And The Ecstasy of Teresa by Bernini. And to see how the light came down onto the sculptures. And again, this kind of very theatrical, Baroque image. Just, I'm doing a graphic novel right now, and I was using this as one of the parts in the graphic novel, so I was so happy to be able to see it in person and to see what it's like as a viewer, that people, when this was made, that, how this could probably transform someone's life, to realize that these things are going on, and that there's somebody, or their religion, depending on if you're Catholic, that it would really, or Protestant at the time, that's what they were trying to convince people, that how this incredible image really did show people that back then, that they wanted them to follow Catholicism instead of the Protestant church. So I tried to get closer in to the Teresa image for this one. And again, you're dealing with something with a lot of light, and when you have to think about the Baroque period, that's the major part of it, is light. So my focus was just to see some of the expression on her face, and it really does transcend a lot of images that you would probably have been able to see this in, whether it's a painting or anything. But this idea of Bernini just must have been unbelievable. You see all the marble that's around in that church, the expense that was spent during that period is really something to see. So I tried to finish that off as quick as I could. This is kind of the finish. Then we went to the Vatican. This is a piece I used to do also for my AP Art History class, the Laocoon and Sons. But School of Athens, right? This is the one. It's a huge image, and the Raphael piece, just they have cleaned it over the last I suppose decade or so, and it's amazing to see. I went into the Sistine, but I wasn't able to take any pictures or anything. So here we are in the Colosseum. I have been before. When I was there so many years ago, you could walk right down there on the bottom, but now they have a platform. You can look down onto the below what would have happened. But for now, everyone is just able to kind of converge around there. So thousands of people there. This would have been under the main floor. Where I was there before, you could actually just walk through that. Now they have, it's all kind of broken up. And this is the last piece that I had done. Really amazing little area. But it's a crypt in Rome, the Capuchin crypt, and it's just has all of the remains of all these friars that were there, and they have these little rooms, these little chapels. So it's very medieval thought. But somebody like myself who loves to draw this kind of stuff, I couldn't wait to get out there and draw some of it. Really a lot of fun. It's a small little place. You have to get there if you haven't gone before. So this is all of them. I thought I'd put them all together for the end of this video. Next time we go, I do want to get to some of the other AP Art History pieces, but I think that if you are an artist or you're interested in art history, that bringing a book to draw a little bit or to write your ideas about things really does add a lot to the experience. And for me, like when I look back on my books, this is one of the parts of it that I like the most, that I do really remember drawing that equestrian statue and where I had to stand and how long it took. You know, that's the part about all of this, that you want to try to find your way into the experience of seeing these pieces that were made hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and that society still has put so much emphasis on, that they've kept them around and made sure that they're there for generations to come, and that we're so lucky to be able to travel and see something like this, where it's very hard for a lot of people to be able to find that time in their lives. But for me, I look at this as one of the great, my accomplishments in my life are being able to travel and being able to see things that when I was growing up I never would have thought I would have ever gone to. And even with my daughter there, and my wife and my family, that they get that opportunity too. And it's a great thing to be able to look back on, and a great adventure to try to do if you possibly can. So this was Florence and Rome, and I think it was about an 8-day. So I think I did about 20, I don't know how many actual images I got in there, but 3 a day. And I hope you enjoy the video, and make sure that you're liking and subscribing as I go and continue my adventures as an art historian and as an artist. I will see you next time.